What's happening YouTube? Owen here from Dark Entertainment, the place to hear tales from Wales and afar. If you're into creepy stories donated to us by people like yourself, then feel free to like and subscribe. Now, let's get into the video. Episode 7. The Prince of Wales, Kenfig. Kenfig is a small location not far from the seaside town of Porthcawl in South Wales. It has a very interesting history. It is especially interesting from the perspective that it no longer exists. It was originally a medieval town on the edge of the marshes on the coast. Despite thriving in the Middle Ages, it also suffered under quite extreme conditions. Since it was situated on the very edge of the coast, it was open to the elements. Strong sea gales beat down on it frequently, and the marshlands became treacherous underfoot. However, the inhabitants were hardy folk and could handle the conditions. According to some sources, though, the population was attacked multiple times by the Black Pagans, more commonly known as Vikings. These fearsome warriors attacked the shores of Britain in 793, and more specifically in Wales in approximately 850 AD. Some reports state that these marauders sacked Kenfig no less than 8 times during this period. However, reports supposedly from the time have turned out to be false documents created in the late 18th to 19th century. Having said that, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. The Vikings began their attacks on Britain by attacking the monastery at Lindisfarne in Northumbria and quickly savaged their way throughout England before settling on these shores. They primarily attacked churches and monastic properties for the large amount of wealth that they accumulated. In Kenfig, the ruins of a monastery are visible under the infamous Sker House. Sker House is a Tudor mansion in the dunes. During the Great Dissolution of the monasteries, Henry VIII dismantled monasteries who did not conform to radical changes in religion. He plundered their wealth, but then gifted the lands to his courtiers. Sker House is such a property. Sker House is also considered one of the most haunted properties in Wales. Throughout this time, reports continually emerge of a corpse light down by the shores, leading boats astray into danger. Reports from the house are no less sinister. In fact, many reports quote the presence of shadow figures throughout the property, sinister dark entities lurking in the peripheral vision. The property itself is privately owned, and so access to the property is strictly forbidden. Back to the area of Kenfig though. Throughout the years, life in the town became increasingly difficult. Eventually, the town was completely covered by sand, forcing the local population to leave the area. To this day, very little is left of Kenfig. To the Prince of Wales pub. The pub dates to the mid-1400s and also doubled up as the town hall. Originally called Tŷ Newydd or New House, it dealt with local dispute, trade, and punishment of criminals. But what goes on there now? The pub itself is busy most of the time and serves not only locals but tourists to the area. Having said that, activity of a very different kind is also prevalent at the pub. During a short trip to the pub, one of the staff informed me that several strange and ghostly occurrences have happened in the short space of time that she has worked there. One such occasion was during the COVID outbreak. When pubs and shops were eventually allowed to open with the precautions in place, the pub opened with barriers to protect staff. One of these barriers was situated in the bar. When the pub had closed for the night, a barrel that was racked behind the bar exploded without any intervention. It hadn't been tapped or tampered with in any way. The barrel fired directly at the bar, hitting one of the COVID shields and throwing it across the pub. After the shield hit the floor, it was picked up by an invisible entity and stood in the middle of the room. Another incident involved a mug containing cutlery being thrown across the room at one of the bar staff. One member of staff stated that the previous landlord had locked his mobile phone in the pub office. At this point, the pub was relatively quiet and the staff heard the phone ringing. He ran to the locked room and began unlocking the door. As he entered the room, the phone stopped ringing. When he checked on the phone, he suddenly recoiled. The missed call was from the pub landline, the same landline phone that was locked in the room with no one in it. She also stated that there is a particular entity that is prevalent within the pub. They do not know the identity of the apparition, but confirmed that it strikes fear into all the bar staff. He is known as Mr. Shadow, and he has been following people throughout the pub. A large shadow figure that is not just seen in the corner of the eye, but in full view of all. I've been told that many of these occurrences have been caught on CCTV, and I will aim to get copies if possible. Anyway, that's all from us here at Dark Entertainment. We hope that you've enjoyed the episode. We are now on Twitter under Dark Entertainment Wales, and if you wish for us to investigate stories from places that you know, or you have a story that you would like us to tell on the channel, drop us a message on Twitter or leave us a message in the comments. Ta-ta!